everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards. He is Commander Cockings.
And he is Captain Foley.
Anyway, we're here today to talk about something we found pretty cool. Well, this is a speculation video, but we're going to talk about and show you some evidence and maybe come up with some really cool stuff. So, what are we talking about today, Sam?
Well, we're doing a live about this trailer, about this scene from Prodigy Season 2. The yes cancelled, yes being finished, yes yes it'll be released. We're working towards that as a Save Star Prodigy campaign. Hashtag Save Star Prodigy on all social medias, etc. And we're doing this live and we were debating the design, and some wonderful fan in the chat said, yes, person in chat, what if it's armoured? And everything changed. Because, you know, one of my big comments was that it's a chromium ship. A lot of metal chrome, as you can see in this view. A lot of metal chrome, which is not the norm. Even the Protostar is sort of metally, and it is, but it's not this. And that's experimental. This is not. This is not even first run. This is USS, I can't remember the name of the ship, but it's a science. Yeah, I think USS Lamar. This is another. So it's not even experimental. It's whatever. But the idea of the armour is such an interesting idea, and we're going to both look at that and deduce and explain why we think that. First, what was your reaction when that was thrown out?
Well, we would have been talking about the ship, obviously. No windows, no banners, no name on the back, nothing. Thick, bulky nacelles, a lot of things. So when that was thrown out, and then I noticed one or two little things, like the little wedge type details or the blocky details on the ship, and it all kind of started to gel and form in our minds that this is a great idea. You know, the first time we see the ship, it's actually got the armor deployed.
We will show the armor, but to reiterate what the armor is, it's the 2400s future holographic replicated special ablative armor that was brought back, pretty standard tech in the future, brought back at Endgame, reverse engineered, put onto the Voyager, although I guess Janeway pre-tweaked it to do it, so, you know, clever her. It deploys, it creates an impenetrable, almost, field, so much so it could take on three full Borg cubes firing and tractor beaming with no notable effects. 3. Same time. Not a problem. And the only reason they did anything after the fact is because the Queen assimilated the armor tech to some extent and was go through it. This thing could probably survive anything in that era, etc. So magic, ostensibly, future classified tech, but doesn't mean you can't make a derivation. Now, here is, of course, close-up. You can say no windows, no blinkies, no phaser strips, no torpedo launchers. I've also brightened it. It's missing more than it has. Very Gen Hay of them, which, of course, is the end ship of Picard Season 1. It was built and designed in a week. It is missing more elements than the ship actually has on it. And for being the most powerful ship in the fleet, it has no weapons of any kind. That's a slight problem. This ship also has almost no details. Here is a relatively comparable shot of the Voyager Classic, and you can instantly see the things that, or at least the look of a full finished spacecraft. With the window, I mean, it's full of details, and put them together, the A is even more obviously lacking every detail, basically. Your thoughts?
Yeah, we can go through them. I mean, like you said, phaser strips, windows, banners, registries, airlocks.
Airlocks, warp core ejection.
Yeah, so it makes perfect sense.
Transporter emitters.
Yep.
Registry.
Yep.
Like beyond just banners, like there's no registry on the bottom. And it's, and these are so standard. They're on the Picard era, the relativity. I mean, these things, you can't argue they just took them away for a few years. These things are the standard. They will be on the ship. They're not going to forget them.
And we know that the Voyager-A is not an Intrepid class, so we're not saying that it's exactly the same one for one here, but they look pretty darn close. But yeah, we're just pointing that out. So.
And of course, the Voyager-B, seen in Picard, also has pennant things because it's a Star Trek Online ship, and they put them all. So they're not going to miss them, etc. But yeah, you can visibly see what's missing, and they're not remotely the same scale, so don't compare that. But the windows, which you might think are windows, those white slits, are not windows on the Voyager-A, because in a Another shot, which is featured later in this comparison, you can see they are raised details. So they're not windows, they are just something. So, and even if they were windows, which they're not, they don't make any sense as windows. I mean, the Voyager, you can see, has a nice logical window arrangement, even so much as there's only like 6 bottom-facing slit windows are all flat windows of rooms, like practical. Rick did a really, really spectacular design here.
Well, that's one of the things that I called out right away when we talked about this the first time, was that there's no windows at all in the secondary hull. And that doesn't make any sense. So, yeah.
And there are like 7 slits, but if they are window, the ship is the size of a Sovereign, they would be 2, 3, 4 decks, and you're not having 4 deck windows. Unless they're Arboretum, but then you wouldn't have Arboretum slit windows that are like this big. It doesn't work, right?
And we know the ship is also a lot larger than Voyager. It's got 600 crew on this one. It's a larger ship.
Hero ship. So, let's do the comparison. Bosh! Armor deployed. Which is what we were visualizing at the time, but didn't quite have. There you go.
Now, a lot of people are going to call out that, hey, this doesn't look at all the same. It does. It looks very similar. Now, I got to remember, too, that if they have this armor on the Voyager-A, it would be the Federation's reverse-engineered version of that. So not necessarily the same. I want to point that out. But yeah, I can see, wow, a lot of similarities here. And including the deflector. Like, we thought the deflector looked nice and beefy. It makes sense if it's armored. Look at the Voyager, or look at Voyager's deflector there, as opposed to what it normally looks like. You know what I mean? So that middle part is just armor. I love it.
Yeah, it's, and like you say, you wouldn't really be able to, no productions use the armor. The Titan would have been very useful to use that in Picard. It would have made season 3 a lot easier, although also a lot harder, because then if all the ships at the end all became armored, then it'd be this giant non-fight, right? So don't give everyone armor.
Although, you know what? I never noticed this before, but Armored Voyager has the banner, the Delta and the banner, which I didn't know.
Oh yeah, so they armored that paint. Why not? Why? Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's quite sweet. But no, I love this as the idea of being, yes, the future tech came in, the fleet may have seen it, but the records were deleted, and Starfleet said, hey, obviously we can't let this go. This is insane. But we can't let this go to the public. That's insane. So let's design a version of this that takes the idea of it with our tech, makes it, let's say, 30% as effective, which is still a radical shift in tech. Over time, we can iterate versions about like Section 31 ships, whatever, that have a better version, that's fine. But we'll make a standardized version that works, that, as you can see, is more reflective. It shows more elements, so it's less brute force, because this always felt like it was just chunk armor, right? It's a tank. The Voyager-A version does not feel like a tank. It feels like a sleek chromium topping on top of hull, with the deflector being an exception. So it feels like a much thinner, but still very useful. As we said in our episode, it would be beautiful if just the 2 reveals, right? First reveal, the ship's bulky, it's chrome, whatever. Here's a ship. And then they say, oh, we're testing the armor, or there's some malfunctions. We'll leave it in the background, because they know, as the writers, if you introduce the armor in some silly way at the start, it's in the audience's mind for later on. But it's a god tech we've sort of got, but haven't really. It's there, right? Like Slipstream is there, but not there. And as it's leaving dry dock, look from the bottom, comes out, and then bosh, got a second, even more beautiful reveal, and then boom, there's the ship in full detail. There's a ship. It's such a win, right?
Yeah.
I'm seeing it in this moment.
You said from the bottom. I always pictured it from the top, like the saucer coming out.
That's what I meant. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I meant the top.
And you see the armor, and then it goes away, and then you see this beautiful registry, Voyager-A. You know.
Here is the shot from the show, an iconic, very well done visual for the time, and like it looks excellent, and it's this beautiful armor effect, and you can see from that second shot how thick the armor is. This thing is giant. Really, really weighty. And yeah, the armor emitters create the hull. I would imagine they're totally inbuilt emitters. That's fine. It's much less advanced armor. They're just part of the hull. They're the like next transporter emitters. But this is what the armor looks like in motion, in creation. And I imagine this is a de-armoring. Would just be so goddamn nice on the Voyager-A's launch.
Yeah. It's one of the things that stood out to us, besides the windows, was the lack of registry, even on the back behind the shuttle bay. So or not registry, just even ship name. So yeah, I would love to see a reveal like that. Now we're not saying this is definitely the case. This is just, it makes sense going with the flow of what Voyager is all about and the mission they're going on. It's in dry dock. They're testing it out. I love that.
It's a story point, right? And we haven't asked the people because we could, but we're giving them all the credit in the world. This is what they're thinking because it'd be such a fun idea. But you can see just that first last shot, the level of detail on the real Voyager is glorious. On Armour, it's basically nothing. That's how the new Voyager-A feels, right? So revealing the full detail would be so nice. So let's do some more comparisons. Of course, the back view, I've even tried to replicate the sheen, or the angle. That's the same damn thing, right? Even the cell backs being oddly pointed and rectangle, they feel so abstractly not connected to the design. Bosch, it's here, right?
Well, that's the other thing we pointed out too, is the chiller grills being so small, which would make sense if it's armored, right? So
yeah,
I love that. Yeah.
And it's odd they take Sovereign cells and cut off the top coils, but yeah, armored side ones, and they sort of maybe flip. They've got 3 sets of coils in each. But I mean, to me, this looks like the same rough styling. You know, it's lacquer detailed, it's shiny, it feels, you know, but the armor is more subtle, platey versus giant plates. Like, I see the aesthetic difference. I'm sold, right? This looks the same.
This needs to happen if it hasn't already happened. If they haven't already done this, just saying.
Oh dear me. The next shot though is the top view, which was you saw it most. So how do you now think, seeing comparison here?
Yeah, this one to me looks less convincing than its armor, honestly, because it does look like there are windows and stuff there, but
they're not windows. We know they're not windows because you can see the top of the frame. The windows are extruding, and windows don't extrude like that. So you can see they're just blobs on the hull.
Reverse engineered technology that the Federation's incorporated, and we even know where there might be some emitters for this thing at some point. We'll talk about that hopefully.
I wonder, because I'm seeing the 2 designs, and there's a slight cut in the middle of both ships. On real Voyager, it's just a line for some reason. What if those grey or black reflective pieces on Voyager-A are the armor emitters? What could be phase strips? They're not obviously phase strips, but if they're the armor emitters sticking out.
Okay. Yeah, I'd buy that.
They're pretty big. They got a glow. They're weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is an interesting thing because Voyager didn't fire weapons and armor. It's armor. It's not a tactical suit. It's armor. They had to actually undo the armor to launch torpedoes, and they never fired phasers. So it'd be interesting to see where the phasers go on this Voyager, given the new Voyager-A, if the hull is so, if it's so close to the hull, because the Voyager armor just goes over it. It just collects it, right? Maybe they recess in, because I mean that'd be an interesting note. Maybe if you know the armor can't be as detailed, the phase strips go down by 10 foot for the armor to go over it. Would be an easy way of saying if you've got armor mode, you've got attack mode, you can't do both. What do you think?
I think that would be an interesting idea. I always thought it was weird that it covered up all the weapons mounts. Like, if you're going into a situation where you need this armor, you'd think you need weapons too. But you need to, I would make it more functional, honestly, if I was reverse engineering it and trying to change it and adapt it. So,
but I feel like they're not that smart. That's kind of the point. They can't make it
well,
better.
It is future tech, yeah.
This is better than they can do. Besides, if you have, because I would assume that if you're doing armor tech with tactical, you'd have to design armored phaser emitters would be less effective, which is okay because they're still weapons. But to have visible, because phaser emitters will connect to the hull. If a phaser emitter is shot at, which would then be shot at all the time, if that explodes, it would explode into the hull, and the emitters might feedback exactly. So it's an all or nothing kind of strategy, isn't it? You have full protection to survive something, and then because as you see, they do unarmor certain segments. I'm sure they could de-armor the phaser emitters, even so much for some ridiculous, like, it flies, de-armors, phasers, that blast, re-armors, like, really, really back and forth. Could be really, and that could be an incredible sequence, like very dynamic, very static, because it's just one ship moving. Kind of would remind me of, in an abstract way, of like the sarcophagus ship Discovery on the sarcophagus ship. Like, every motion's a new, you know, of phasers firing, and could be really fun. But I'm throwing out ideas here. The last shot is, of course, that bottom shot. Have we sold you? Have you sold us? Is the Voyager-A the first prime main timeline armored-esque-ish ship? Will it look different? Will it be different? What do you guys think?
Before we move on real quick, I just want to point out the wedges, because there's wedges on the back of the saucer on both the left and right side. They look like gold wedges, large clunky things, which made no sense. If they're armor, that makes all the sense in the world. Plus, there's a shot of the back of it where there's like a square thing behind the bridge, which again seems very out of character for starship design. But again, if it's part of this armor or the armored deployment system, I think that's great. So
maybe they're armored side aft torpedo launchers, which would be insane, but hey, maybe. But
guys, let us know what you thought about this. Do you like this idea? Do you have anything to add to it? What did you think? Were you there during the live where we worked all this out?
The ding moment.
Yeah, it was very much a light bulb moment. So let us know in the comments section below, and please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell icon to all so you don't miss any content like this or any other great content that we have coming out. And hashtag save Star Trek Prodigy on all your social medias. Let's keep Prodigy in the public mindset, and let's keep it alive.
It's a great show.
It is.
Yeah, and support us, this other show, which some could call great. If you do, hey, thanks. Support us monthly via Patreon or join the channel on YouTube. It's the join button. Self-explanatory. Or you can support us one time via Super Chat on a live Super Thanks on any video, or a PayPal at trekyards@hotmail.com. That is email. Put whatever in can, and it all goes towards this show, this community, and us to keep doing this, all these ridiculous videos all the damn time.
That's right. So, until next time, he is Unarmored Commander Cockings.
And he's from the future, but will hide his tech because, you know, he's in the future. Captain Foley.
See you guys later.
Bye, guys.